Dear listeners, before starting the story, I ask you to subscribe to the channel under this video. Your subscription motivates me to make quality content for you. I also ask you to share your opinion about the story in the comments, that's all. Enjoy listening. Part 1. My name is David Marshall, and this is the story of how my life was turned upside down by the woman I loved. It all began in the bustling city of Seattle, Washington, where the rain was as much a part of daily life as the air we breathed. Seattle, with its iconic Space Needle piercing the sky and the constant hum of ferries in the Puget Sound, was the backdrop to a tale of love, betrayal, and heartbreak that I never saw coming. I met Jenna 6 years ago at a coffee shop in Pike Place Market. She was standing in line ahead of me, her auburn hair cascading down her shoulders, and her emerald green eyes sparkling with life. I was immediately drawn to her, and when she accidentally knocked her latte onto my shirt, it felt like fate had intervened. "God, I'm so sorry," she exclaimed, grabbing napkins and frantically trying to blot the coffee from my shirt. I laughed, telling her it was no big deal. "I'm David, by the way," I said, extending my hand. "Jenna," she replied, her smile disarming and sincere. We ended up sitting together talking for hours about everything and nothing. By the time the cafe closed, I knew I wanted to see her again, and see her I did, nearly every day after that. Jenna was a graphic designer, talented and passionate about her work. She had a studio apartment in Capitol Hill, filled with her art and a myriad of plants. Our relationship blossomed quickly, and within a year we moved in together. Life was good, and I thought I had found my soulmate. We got married in a small ceremony by Lake Union, surrounded by close friends and family. As we exchanged vows, I felt an overwhelming sense of joy and commitment. I believed in the sanctity of marriage, in the promises we made to each other that day. But it turned out that Jenna's promises were more fragile than I ever could have imagined. 2 years into our marriage, I began to notice changes in Jenna. She became more secretive, her phone always glued to her hand, her laughter a little too forced when I asked about her day. She started coming home late, explaining it away with excuses about work deadlines and meetings that ran long. At first, I dismissed my suspicions as paranoia. I trusted Jenna implicitly, but the nagging doubts gnawed at me, keeping me awake at night. One evening, curiosity got the better of me, and I decided to check her phone while she was in the shower. My hands trembled as I scrolled through her messages, my heart pounding in my chest. There were dozens of texts from someone named Chris. The messages were flirtatious, intimate, and unmistakably suggestive. My world shattered in an instant. I confronted Jenna as soon as she stepped out of the bathroom, my voice shaking with anger and hurt. "Who is Chris?" I demanded, holding her phone up as evidence. Her face went pale, and for a moment she was speechless. Then tears welled up in her eyes, and she began to cry. "I'm sorry, David," she whispered. "I didn't mean for it to happen." "Didn't mean for what to happen?" I shouted, my anger boiling over. "Are you having an affair?" She nodded, and I felt a deep searing pain in my chest. The woman I loved, the woman I had pledged my life to, had betrayed me. Over the next few weeks, we tried to salvage what was left of our marriage. We went to counseling, talked late into the night, and tried to rebuild the trust that had been shattered. But every time I looked at her, all I could see was betrayal. I couldn't get the image of her and Chris out of my mind. It haunted me, day and night. Eventually, I reached my breaking point. One night, as Jenna lay sleeping beside me, I packed a bag and left. I moved into a small apartment in Belltown, needing space and time to heal. I focused on my job, threw myself into hobbies, and tried to piece my life back together. Months passed, and I started to find a semblance of normalcy. But the wound of betrayal was still fresh, and I found it hard to trust anyone. That's when I met Rebecca. She was a co-worker, kind and understanding. She knew about my past and helped me through some of my darkest moments. We started dating, and for the first time in a long while, I felt hopeful about the future. But the past has a way of resurfacing when you least expect it. One evening, as Rebecca and I were having dinner at a cozy restaurant in Ballard, my phone buzzed with a message from Jenna. It was a simple text. "I need to talk to you. It's important." I stared at the screen, my mind racing. What could she possibly want now? After everything that had happened, I didn't know if I was ready to face her again. But curiosity got the better of me, and I agreed to meet her the next day. We met at a quiet park overlooking Elliott Bay. Jenna looked different. tired, worn down by something I couldn't quite place. She told me that Chris had left her, that he wasn't the man she thought he was. She apologized again for everything she had done, tears streaming down her face, and then she dropped a bombshell that I never saw coming. "I'm pregnant," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. I was stunned. "Is it?" "Yes," she nodded. "It's yours." My mind reeled. How could this be? We hadn't been together in months. Jenna explained that she had found out shortly after we separated, but didn't have the courage to tell me until now. She wanted to keep the baby and hoped that somehow we could find a way to co-parent. The news hit me like a freight train. I didn't know what to feel. Anger, confusion, maybe a glimmer of hope. Despite everything, this child was a part of me, a part of us. I agreed to be involved, but I made it clear that I wasn't ready to forgive her. Not yet. Over the next few months, Jenna and I navigated the complexities of preparing for a baby while trying to mend our fractured relationship. We attended doctor's appointments together, set up a nursery in her apartment, and slowly started to communicate more openly. Rebecca was understanding, though I could see the strain it put on our relationship. The day our daughter Lily was born was a day of mixed emotions. Holding her in my arms, I felt an overwhelming sense of love and responsibility. She was innocent, a new beginning amidst the ruins of our past. Jenna and I had a lot of healing to do, but for Lily's sake, we were determined to make it work. As the years went by, we settled into a routine. Co-parenting was challenging, but we made it work. Jenna and I developed a respectful friendship, bound by our love for Lily. Rebecca and I eventually parted ways, as the complexities of my situation proved too much for our relationship. Life in Seattle continued, with its ever-present rain and vibrant city life. I found solace in the small moments of joy with Lily, watching her grow and discovering the world around her. The pain of betrayal never fully disappeared, but it became a part of my story, a chapter that shaped who I was. Looking back, I realized that life is unpredictable, filled with twists and turns that we can never anticipate. Betrayal had shattered my world, but it also led me to discover a strength within myself that I didn't know I had. It taught me the importance of forgiveness, not just for others, but for myself. Part 2. Life moved forward, and as the years went by, I grew closer to my daughter, Lily. She was a bright, inquisitive child with Jenna's green eyes and my penchant for asking too many questions. We shared weekends at the Seattle Aquarium, trips to the Space Needle, and countless afternoons at Discovery Park, where we'd hike the trails and explore the tide pools. These moments became the foundation of our bond, a bond that grew stronger with each passing day. Jenna and I had settled into a rhythm. We communicated effectively, ensuring that Lily's needs were always prioritized. Despite the pain of our past, we found a way to coexist peacefully. Over time, I even found it within myself to forgive Jenna. It wasn't easy, and the scars of betrayal never truly disappeared, but I realized that holding on to anger was only hurting me. Forgiveness became a path to healing. One autumn evening, as I was tucking Lily into bed, she asked a question that caught me off guard. "Daddy, why don't you and Mommy live together?" I paused, looking into her curious eyes. "Well, sweetheart, sometimes grown-ups have different lives and dreams, and they decide to live apart. But that doesn't mean we don't both love you very much." She seemed to accept my answer, though I could tell it was something she'd think about more as she grew older. The question lingered with me, a reminder of the complexity of our situation. As Lily grew, I started to think about my own future. I had spent so much time focused on healing and being the best father I could be that I hadn't allowed myself to consider the possibility of finding love again. But as Lily started school, I found myself with more free time and a renewed sense of hope. One evening, at a charity event for the Seattle Children's Hospital, I met Claire. She was an elementary school teacher with a warm smile and an easy laugh. We struck up a conversation over drinks, talking about everything from education to our favorite books. There was an instant connection, something I hadn't felt in years. Claire and I began to date, and it wasn't long before she met Lily. They hit it off immediately, bonding over a shared love of animals and art. Seeing them together brought a new light into my life, one that I hadn't realized I was missing. For the first time since Jenna's betrayal, I felt a sense of completeness. But life has a way of throwing unexpected challenges at you. One evening, as I was leaving work, I received a frantic call from Jenna. Lily had been involved in a car accident. My heart stopped as I rushed to the hospital, fear gripping me like a vice. When I arrived, I found Jenna in the waiting room, her face pale and tear-streaked. "She's going to be okay," she said, her voice trembling. "But she's hurt, David. She's hurt badly." Lily had suffered a broken leg and a concussion, but the doctors assured us she would make a full recovery. The relief was overwhelming, but it was also a stark reminder of how fragile life could be. Jenna and I stayed by Lily's side through the night, our past grievances forgotten in the face of our shared concern for our daughter. As Lily recovered, Claire became a steady presence, offering support and love. She helped with Lily's rehabilitation, bringing activities to keep her entertained and lifting her spirits. Jenna, too, softened towards Claire, appreciating her role in Lily's life. It was a challenging time, but it also brought us all closer together. Months passed, and Lily made a full recovery. Life slowly returned to normal, and I found myself more grateful than ever for the people in my life. Jenna and I continued to co-parent effectively, and my relationship with Claire deepened. We moved in together, creating a new home filled with laughter and love. But even as things seemed to settle, a new challenge arose. Jenna called me one afternoon, her voice filled with tension. "I need to talk to you, David. Can we meet?" We met at a quiet cafe, the same place where our story had begun years ago. Jenna looked anxious, her hands fidgeting with her coffee cup. "What's going on?" I asked, concern evident in my voice. She took a deep breath. "I've been offered a job in San Francisco. It's a great opportunity, but it would mean moving." The news hit me hard. The thought of Jenna moving away, taking Lily with her, was something I hadn't prepared for. We had built a life here in Seattle, a delicate balance that worked for all of us. The idea of disrupting that filled me with dread. "I don't want to take Lily away from you," Jenna continued, her eyes pleading. "But this job, it's something I've always wanted. I need to know what you think." We spent hours talking, weighing the pros and cons. Jenna's new job would mean better financial stability and career fulfillment, but it would also mean uprooting Lily from her school, her friends, and the life she knew. After much deliberation, we reached a compromise. Jenna would take the job and move to San Francisco, but Lily would stay with me during the school year and spend holidays and summers with her mother. The transition was challenging, but we managed. Technology helped bridge the distance, with frequent video calls and visits. Lily adapted better than I had expected, her resilience and positivity shining through. Claire was my rock during this time, offering unwavering support. Our relationship grew stronger, and a year after Jenna's move, I proposed. We had a small, intimate wedding at a vineyard in Woodinville, surrounded by our closest friends and family. Lily was our flower girl, her smile lighting up the day. Life continued to evolve, bringing new joys and challenges. Jenna flourished in her new job, and Lily thrived in her dual-city life. Claire and I welcomed a son, Ethan, into our family, adding another layer of joy and complexity to our lives. Looking back, I realized that the twists and turns of my journey had taught me invaluable lessons. Betrayal had once shattered my world, but it also led me to discover strength, forgiveness, and the importance of resilience. It showed me that even in the face of profound pain, there is always a path forward, a chance for new beginnings. This is my story, a story of love lost and found, of heartbreak and healing, and of the enduring power of hope. Through it all, I learned that life is a tapestry woven with both light and dark threads, each moment contributing to the person I have become. And in the end, it is love, both given and received, that holds everything together.